wants to start?
You know on Steph and Lindy yet?
I believe he's going to play, yeah. Haven't heard anything to the contrary.
Lindy also?
Yes, same.
Oh, gotcha.
What happened with Steph? He just kind of popped up on the injury report the other day.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know he was on there until he was on there. So this is more about protocol than anything. But he was a little banged up after the game.
Coach, what will it take to come out successful against the Clippers, seeing how they were successful when they came up there and beat you guys?
Yeah, they forced 21 or 22 turnovers, I think. That was the key to the game. Their defense is really good. Ty and Jeff do an amazing job. They've added some really impactful defensive players. So we've got to be a much more disciplined team tonight. We got to play a cleaner game, take care of the ball, get it out of the net, and go and generate more pace.
Steve, James obviously became second all-time yesterday and made three-pointers. As a head coach who has game planned against him so many different times on a big stage, what can you say about the career that he's had and also how he was able to accomplish that achievement?
Well, I would also guess that he's number one in three-point fouls drawn. You know, I don't know if that's true, but it has to be. It has to be. So please, somebody look that up. But that's what you really fear when you play James Harden. He's going to make some shots. He's a great player, obviously, Hall of Fame player. But if he goes to the line 12, 15 times, it's hard to win that game. And so he's very crafty. He jumps forward in a shot, so you cannot challenge directly into him or you're going to run into him and it's a foul. And so we have to be able to challenge his threes without fouling him. Embrace the fact that he's going to make some tough shots, but we can't give him anything easy.
Hey, Steve. Steph, obviously, but what has his leadership this season looked like compared to other seasons amid all the roster moves this past offseason? Yeah.
No different. Steph's a metronome. He's the same guy every single day. He comes in, he gets his work in. He respects everybody. He brings joy. He brings work. He's the same guy that he's been for 10 years.
What do you think he's done with helping the development with all the new roster pieces with their fit?
Same thing he does every single year. He just he plays a game that is really conducive to team basketball. He moves without the ball. He passes the ball when people are open. He plays with great pace. If you can't play with Steph, you probably can't play basketball at this level. So he's just being himself. He's no different now than he's been the last 10 years. And that's why he is who he is. He's so consistent with his effort, his approach every single day. He's a dream to coach. And yeah, I'm a lucky man to coach him.
Mr. Kerr, I believe Quinten Post is with the team for the first time this season. What impression did he make on you so far?
I'm sorry, who's that?
Quinten Post.
Quinten Post, yeah. He had a great training camp. We really like him. He's a very physical center, but one who can also step outside and shoot threes. So he's going to spend a lot of time in Santa Cruz this year because he needs the reps. But we feel like he's got a future in the league, and we're excited about him.
Hey, Coach, right here. So Warrior and the Clipper got one of the newest arena around the NBA. So how would you like to hear? What's your thought about
the new arena?
The new
That's
arena.
beautiful. Yeah, I mean we came here this morning for shoot around and got a feel for the rims and the floor, and the locker rooms are beautiful. They did an amazing job.
Hey, Coach, in the short time that you coached Kawhi ahead of the Olympic Games, is there anything that you learned about him that surprised you?
Not really, because I've been coaching against him for so long, and he's one of the great players in the league. He's just so physical at both ends, and he's a great rebounder. His hands are amazing. He can score when there's nothing there, just because of his skill and his physical strength, and he's a Hall of Fame player.
Hey, Coach, what's the biggest thing you've taken from this summer in the Olympics going into this season?
Going into this season, I learned a lot from Ty and from Spo and Mark Few. We shared thoughts every single day at practice, and those meetings were fantastic. They're coaching clinics, you know, and you always take things from other coaches that you admire, and so some of the drills that we do defensively, I've taken from Ty, you know, I just think it's any experience like that where you're around great players and great people, you just naturally get better as a coach, and so I think you know, I think I've taken a lot from that experience for sure.
Steve, so you're playing a lot of guys right now. What is the challenge of not just maintaining a rotation of more than 9 or 10 guys, but like organizing it, like emphasizing wanting to have a starting lineup and wanting to make sure that you give a chance to guys with a consistent group of 5-man lineups? Like, what's that like for you?
I mean, it only works if guys are willing to commit to it, and our guys have been willing to commit. So I give them a lot of credit. We dedicated camp to building an identity of being a scrappy defensive team. They've been that. We sold them on the idea that if we play a lot of people, we can play harder for shorter stints, and they've really committed to that. So our job is to find the best combinations that work. That's probably the biggest challenge as a coach from night to night, trying to figure out what group makes the most sense to win that game. If you're just playing 8 or 9, you kind of know every night, you know, the direction you're going. But playing this way, you kind of have to figure it out as you go.
When you see other teams, is it harder to prepare for more guys, or is it harder to prepare for a team that you know who they're playing?
I think it just depends. It's harder to prepare for great players, you know. So we feel like we have a lot of great players. We have a lot of talent and a lot of depth, and so the idea behind this is we're gonna put for 48 minutes, we're gonna put a good group out there that's playing hard and competing at both ends, and that's so far has been successful, but it's a long year, and you know we got a lot of work ahead.
Coach, Steve, having been around Jeff, how has the Jeff Van Gundy defense evolved during his time away from basketball? Is it the same as it was 16 years ago, or is it different now because of the way the game has evolved?
No, it's different for sure because of the way the game is being played. But Jeff, you know, has been doing TV for so long. He's watched the evolution of the game over the last 18 years, whatever it is. So he's a brilliant defensive coach. He's also a fantastic teammate and a hilarious guy, someone you love being around. And our experience these last 2 summers, and actually even going back to Tokyo and China in 19. So we've spent 4 summers together, and I just think the world of Jeff. I think he's a phenomenal coach, and like I said, a really fun person to be around.
Coach, just curious, what role do you think James Harden has kind of had on the game as far as his play style? And I think there was some things said about how maybe he can't be successful and stuff like that. And we saw a team like Luka and the Mavs get to the finals last year playing a similar style. Just what role do you think James has had on you know the NBA with his kind of play style?
Well, he's obviously a great player. I think you know, he might have been one of the first guys to be kind of, and Mike D'Antoni played him this way, you know, as he's the point guard. We're going to run pick and roll every play, and we're just going to do it, and we'll see if you can stop it. And not many teams played that way before James started doing that, and I think, you know, Luka kind of plays that way now, Trae Young. So I think in some ways James was I might be wrong, but it seems to me he was the first guy who kind of played that role where the whole offense just ran through him.
You can recall those playoff series you guys had. What was the biggest challenge of you said they were spamming those pick and rolls all the time. Like, what was the biggest challenge of stopping those every single possession?
The biggest challenge was accepting that you weren't going to be successful all the time, but that if you trusted over time, over 48 minutes, that if you put a lot of pressure on him and stayed solid and didn't foul, it is a really hard role to play. You know, to dribble 400 or 500 times a night. That's exhausting. And so with anybody like that, whether it's James or Luka, Trae Young, I'm probably missing others. They're great players. They're going to get their points. You just can't give them anything easy, and you can't get discouraged when they do score, and you have to trust that over time that's a really tough thing to do for 48 minutes.
2 quick ones. How's Looney?
I'm sorry?
How's Looney?
He didn't come down.
Yeah.
He's still feeling sick today, so hopefully he'll be ready by Wednesday.
Without him tonight and against Zubac, who kind of gave it to you guys a little bit, or what's kind of, I guess, the plan to survive interior wise?
Yeah, well, we obviously Trace will start on him, and then Draymond will guard him, and if we have to go small, Kyle Anderson could take a crack at him, and we'll see what we've got.
Hey, Coach, Draymond's talked about the defensive point system that Stackhouse has put in. Does that sort of help guys buy in a little more when they know they're going to be graded on their defensive performance?
Yeah, that's something that Mike Brown started doing years ago. I think it's really good to hold players accountable and show them numbers and show them clips. And one of the reasons I wanted to hire Jerry is he's a really powerful presence. He's got a strong presence. He's a man of conviction. He's been a great player in the league. He's been a head coach. Our players have great respect for him, and so do I, and so do the other coaches. And he's been fantastic.
Easy one for you at the end here. Do you have any reaction to Inside the NBA sticking around or saving Charles and those guys being able to still talk about you after this?
Well, I'm glad they're still here. That's for sure. Those guys are amazing, and used to work with them back in the day, and the NBA wouldn't be the same without them. So I think I probably speak for everybody. I'm just glad they're going to keep it going.
Coach, you guys come in at the #1 seed. What can you tell us about your team? Your bench is averaging 50 points, around 50 points. Steph and Draymond's leadership. What can you tell us about your team up to this point in the season?
I'm sorry, what?
You guys come in at the #1 seed. What can you tell us about your team? Your bench averaging around 50 points a game. Steph's leadership and Draymond up to this point in the season.
Yeah, it's been a great start, but we have 70 games left, so we're playing well, but we know that there are long stretches in the season where things happen, and you just have to keep going. So so far so good. We have a lot of depth. A lot of guys are playing well. Draymond and Steph have both been fantastic on and off the floor. It's a well-constructed roster. Our management did a great job of that, and our guys are connected. So it's been fun, but we have a lot ahead of us. Thanks.